Okay, today we're going to be dividing decimals by decimals. And here we have 12 and 2/10 divided by 2/10. I put mine on a grid so that I can make sure that I keep my columns straight. I see that students make mistakes when their columns don't line up. One way that you could do that would be to turn your paper sideways on a piece of notebook paper so that you have the lines going down, and that would help you. Okay, the first thing that I need to do is to make my divisor a whole number. So I'm just going to move my decimal point over, and that's like multiplying by 10. And what I do to my divisor, I need to do to my dividend. So I move this decimal point over also. Before you start, always remember to bring up your decimal point, and then you can just start dividing like you would divide with numbers that don't have decimals. 2 goes into 1 0 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. And here's where you need to be careful to make sure that your columns are straight, because people make mistakes if they're not really needing careful. 12 minus 12 is 0. And my next step is to bring down the 2. Okay? And 2 goes into 2 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. When I end up with a 0 down here, and there's no more numbers left to divide, I'm finished. So my answer for 12 and 2/10 divided by 2/10 is 61. Let's try another one. Here I have 8 and 246 thousandths divided by 600ths. It's really important to always be as neat as you can when you solve problems like this. My first step for this one is to make my divisor a whole number, and I need to multiply by 100, which is just like moving my decimal point twice. And what I do to my divisor, I need to do to my dividend. So I'm going to move my decimal point over twice and bring it up. Now I can start to divide, and 6 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract, and I end up with 2. I need to bring down my next number, and that's a 2. Then I decide how many times does 6 go into 22, and that would be 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. And then I subtract, again being very careful to make sure that my columns are straight. 22 minus 18 would be 4. Okay, I bring down my next number, which is 4. 6 goes into 44 7 times. Okay, 7 times 6 is 42. Then I subtract. 44 minus 42 is 2. Bring down my 6 here. And 26 goes into 26 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. I subtract, and I end up with a 2 here. But I'm not finished. I can't have a remainder, so I need to add a 0. And we talked about this during class. I just add another 0 to the end of this number. It doesn't change the value of the number, but it makes so I can continue to divide. Then I bring down my 0, and 6 goes into 23 times. 3 times 6 is 18. I subtract, and I get another 2. I can add another 0 and bring it down. And 6 goes into 20 3 times. And I can see that's 18. I can see that this pattern is going to continue. When you're dividing with decimals and you notice a repeating pattern, you may stop dividing and just put the bar over the number that you stopped on, because that number is going to repeat. We could divide this for hours and it would continue to end up getting 3s. So once you get to that point where you see that pattern, you just stop dividing and put the bar over that repeating pattern.